This is Writing to Testify by Terry Bale. That's me. This is part 5, called Judgment. Someday it will be here, and there will be a need to deal with it. So far, I've read to you numbers 90, 69 to 73. Now I'll read to you 74. It is getting warm out here, and I think I'm actually going to drop off my jacket. You end up seeing the humanness, the reality. See, it's winter, and I don't try to show you everything. It's, everything is too much. But this, I need to read this to you. I haven't gotten it read yet. But I don't just want to be in the house. And I'm very discouraged lately. It's very hard. People are struggling all over. I better read this. Okay. Number 74. We are to be salt and light. Both are killers and inhibitors of bacteria and corruption. Used properly, they clean and preserve, and are beneficial and necessary to our existence. This is in accordance with the rest of the scriptures, which exhort us, train us, and insist that we judge the cause of the needy and the fatherless, and inform us that God is angry with those who neglect their responsibility in this. The Lord loves judgment. See Psalm 37:28, verse 28, and Jeremiah 22, verses 15 and 16. The Lord loves judgment. It behooves his sons, then, to stand up for what is right, not out of pride, but because it ought to be done. He is like that. His Son, Jesus, is like that. He wants his sons to be like that too. But have you noticed how the Father rarely stands up for himself? Likewise the Son. Likewise the Holy Spirit. But they each stand up for the others. It's an example for us to follow. But instead, we have perverted the understanding of judgment and gone and done the exact opposite of what the Lord commanded us. When it comes to personal offenses, we stand up for our rights, but standing up for others and for truth, we have left undone. Then here a verse, 2 verses, Jeremiah chapter 22, verses 15 and 16. Quote, "Shalt thou reign, because thou closest thyself in cedar? Did not thy father eat and drink, and do judgment and justice, and then it was well with him? He judged the cause of the poor and needy. Then it was well with him. Was not this to know me, saith the Lord?" End quote. And 1 Corinthians 10, verse 7. "Neither be ye idolaters." This is the New Testament, 1 Corinthians 10:7. "Neither be ye idolaters, as were some of them. As it is written, the people sat down to eat and drink, and rose up to play." That's how they described it. Unquote. Rose up to play, end quote. Jesus' commandments in the Sermon on the Mount were admonishments for the individual and for the whole body of believers as individuals en masse. Jesus was not advising an army to turn the other cheek. The dynamics governing collective behavior generally differ from those of the individual. If a man joins forces with a group whose objectives and motives are contrary to God's, then that man has made his stand against God. By God's hand, he will bear his portion of the collective consequences, and yet he will also be judged separately by God for his individual behavior, with respect to the independent will that God created him with. God recognizes the collective as well as the individual, and he deals with them independently and, when appropriate, at the same time. It's complex, but God can handle it. We, on the other hand, cannot handle the complexity. Instead, we try to simplify things by developing theories and arguments and taking our stand on one side or the other of theological issues like law and grace, eternal security, to judge or not to judge, etc. But attempting to give simple answers to complex questions leads to error. That's one of the major reasons God's people have always needed to clean out their lives and draw close to God. We need God's answers, for man's answers fall short. But far more than even needing God's answers, we need God. Number 75. We need to take another look at the sayings of Jesus in the light of the character of God. Research this for yourself. Take the responsibility and study the scriptures for yourself. We need to let go of our artificially prolonged childhood and the evil that prolonged it, and, repenting, turn to God and begin to grow up. There's not much time, but we can be grateful that most of us have more time yet here on earth than the thief on the cross next to Jesus had. But time alone won't help us. We must make the decision to repent and follow Him. We can yet grow up and honor His name, which is worthy to be praised. That was number 75. So turn to page 76. The Lord gave to His people the 10 Commandments, but He promised in the book of Jeremiah to make a new covenant with them, to write His law in their hearts. Jeremiah 31, verses 31 through 33. Quote, "Behold, the days come, saith the Lord, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by the hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they break, although I was an husband unto them, saith the Lord. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel. After those days, saith the Lord, I will put my law in their inward parts, and write it in their hearts, and will be their God, and they shall be my people." End quote. And then in Hebrews chapter 8, verses 1 and 2, and 6 and 7, quote, "Now of the things which we have spoken, this is the sum. We have such an high priest, who is set on the right hand of the throne of the majesty in the heavens, a minister of the sanctuary, and of the true tabernacle which the Lord pitched, and not man." End quote. Quote, "But now hath he obtained a more excellent ministry, by how much also he is the mediator of a better covenant, which was established upon better promises. For if that first covenant had been faultless, then should no place have been sought for the second." End quote. Number 77. And I need to stretch. Number 77. God promised the second covenant long before it came, a covenant that would reach right to the heart. He saw the need. He made a way. The way was through His Son. The commandments of Jesus, no one but God's own Son could have given them, for no one but God's own Son could have upheld them. Anyone else saying, "Love your enemies," "Go the second mile," "Give the other side of your face to be slapped too," would have been rejected without another thought. But Jesus was living the life of it already. He alone could do it. He alone could ask it of us. Do you remember the trouble Moses had with the children of Israel, just on account of the 10? God was gracious to His servants, like Moses, not to ask them to carry what would have been too much for them. But He asked it of His Son, and His Son did it. And He alone could match the will of the Father by loving the people every bit as much as His Father loved them. And when he asked us to obey his commands, he asked it of us for our own good, just as his Father had given the 10 way back on Mount Sinai. There is a beautiful verse in Deuteronomy chapter 5 where God speaks from a yearning heart. Quote, "Oh, that there were such an heart in them, that they would fear me and keep all my commandments always, that it might be well with them and with their children forever." End quote. The heart of the Father is in the heart of his Son. He had to teach us. He had to live what he taught. He had to die, spotless, in our place. And he had to resurrect permanently by the power of God in order to take his place at the right hand of his Father as King of Kings and Lord of Lords. He did all that, and he asked us to follow him. He didn't expect us to do it perfectly, but he knew it was the best thing for us. So he asked it of us, to love not the world, to lay down our lives, and to follow him. Number 78. The kind of life which is actually lived according to Jesus' teachings has got a level of difficulty that ought to be expected considering its high requirements and high gains. But actually, considering its efficiency, its profit versus expenditure ratio, we are fools to have left Jesus' words go unheeded. And indeed, that is what we have done. We chose instead to love the world and park on the notion that the law is fulfilled and done away with, quote unquote. And this one, quote, "We are free from the law, and we need only the love and grace of God in our lives, which Jesus has already provided," end quote. Sounds good, but it's too shallow. Okay, next page. Sorry, I twirl this thing all around. Which Jesus has already provided. We neglect to notice that Jesus said that to many he will say in that day, quote, "Depart from me, ye that work iniquity," or lawlessness, end quote. That's Matthew 7, verse 23. I put in or lawlessness to define iniquity. It is the explanation for iniquity. Jesus did not teach lawlessness. Through his teachings, Jesus upheld the law his Father gave. He filled in the gaps and the loopholes and kept the whole thing in spirit and in truth. He kept the law and took his stand before it. Now, morally and every other way, we are to relate ourselves to him. We no longer answer to the 10. We answer instead to Jesus. And his commandments reach beyond those that went before. Reach beyond those that went before, because his commandments go right to the heart. Number 79. Whereas the 10 were a kind of magnifying glass to show the people of God their sin, the commandments of Jesus are more like an MRI. Jesus said, "Whosoever looketh on a woman to lust after her hath committed adultery with her already in his heart." That's a big change. Sorry. And the commandments of Jesus catch the disease before it spreads, so that instead of stoning the whole body, Jesus prescribed removal of that which was infected. Quote, "And if thy right eye offend thee, pluck it out and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell. And if thy right hand offend thee, cut it off and cast it from thee. For it is profitable for thee that one of thy members should perish, and not that thy whole body should be cast into hell." End quote. That's Jesus speaking. In Matthew, it's found, chapter 5, verses 28 through 30. In all his teachings, Jesus told us how to follow him, and made it plain that we must, saying, quote, "Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you," end quote. And, quote, if a man love me, he will keep my words, and my Father will love him, and we will come unto him, and make our abode with him, end quote. And this one, quote, he that loveth me not, keepeth not my sayings. And the word which ye hear is not mine, but the Father's which sent me, end quote. And this one, quote, and why call ye me Lord, Lord, and do not the things which I say, end quote. As found in John chapter 15, verse 14, John 14, verse 23, John 14, verse 24, and Luke 6, verse 46. We meant to follow him. We meant to do what he taught. But we didn't cut off that which offended us. We didn't stop the world at the eye nor at the hand. We allowed our TVs to remain, and other things as well, allowing the world to enter and to enter and to enter. In the long run now, we find that our minds have swapped standards without even asking permission. But then swapping was not the issue. Entry was the issue. After entry, standards are up for grabs. We should have known better. In fact, we did know better. Jesus told us. And we all knew the scriptures that testify, saying, quote, love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man love the world, the love of the Father is not in him, end quote. And, quote, set your affection on things above, not on things on the earth, end quote. And, quote, be content with such things as ye have, end quote. As found in 1 John 2:15, Colossians 3 verse 2, and Hebrews 13 verse 5. We knew better. We just didn't listen. And after a while, we just didn't care. To think of that, having known we didn't care. 'Cause he said, if it offends you, cut it off and cast it from you. The TVs were not our hand or our eye. We could have cast them away, but we did not. And they entered and entered their information, their ideas, their sins, their errors, and it messed up our lives and our thinking. Number 80. To think of that, having known we didn't care. The world was just too fun, too exciting. So, Jesus' words were not just glorious advice to the super spiritual, but a new covenant. Whether or not we keep this covenant is apparent in how we live our lives. According to the evidence in our lives, in our homes and hearts and minds, we have broken the covenant. The second, the better covenant that the Son of God himself came to establish. Woe to us. As a nation, we knew who he was. We knew what he taught. We are in big trouble. That's the end of that page. It may be the end of that number as well. Now I have to change pages. I think it's flip it over. Yes, that is the end of number 80. Perhaps I should stop and start it again. I think I better. 19 minutes, that might be best. I'll be right back.